Hi, welcome back to Christine's Corner. As always, we have a nice good treat for you today. On my right hand side is Mike Tazinski. He's a doctor. Welcome.
Thank you, Christine.
So glad you're coming on. You're here to refuse to be a victim. Let me just tell you a little bit of bio on Dr. Taz. He's St. Thomas College, Bloomfield, medical school, medical residency in pulmonary, University of Connecticut, Bristol Hospital Pulmonary. From 1980 to 2013, he served in primary pulmonary and internal medicine and many various administrative positions during those years. Mm-hmm. You have quite a resume. Board certified, Board of Internal Medicine, Board of Pulmonary Medicine, and now he's doing crime prevention, personal safety.
That's right.
Judo? Wow, amazing. 1965 to 1968?
Yeah, that was
wow.
club.
And Kempo Karate, I never heard of that. 77, 80, 90 to 95. Refused to be a victim, certified facilitator. In 2011, regional counselor. 2013, certified basic pistol safety instructor. NRA 2014 and USCCA 2017. On-site training, advanced directives, Blue Trails, Wallingford, front side, site training facility, Pahrump, Nevada, is that correct? Pahrump, I'm sorry. Sorry to Nevada. King 33 training, Southington, Connecticut, and online training, target focus training, Tim Larkin, concealed carry master's course. Larry Yach, concealed carry university, and Patrick Gilcherman. And armed response, David Kennick. Ralph Morose. CC Accounting, Jason Hansen, and Bulletproof, Mind, Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman.
That's right.
Wow.
That's some of the...
Yeah, so you've done quite the studies on, what is refused to be a victim and how does it work?
Refuse to be a Victim, Christine, is a program that was started at the request of women and girls in 1993. They went to the NRA. This is an NRA program, National Rifle Association program. They went to the NRA and they said, we're being unfairly victimized because of our gender. What can you do to help us so we're not victimized as much? We don't have less crime being committed against us. So the educational arm of the NRA came out with a program, 4 hours in length. At that time, it was an 80-page booklet, and they said, listen, we can't guarantee that if you follow these things, your life will be crime-free. But we can say that if you follow these things, the incidence of crime in your life will go down. And what they have done since that time is they taught it to the girls for 4 years only, 1993 to 97, because in 97, the guys heard about it and said, hey, that's a great course for us too. How about teaching it to us? So since 1997, the NRA has taught men and women, boys and girls, from 11 up to 111 years of age, how to keep themselves safer, how to avoid crime, and also how to take on their self-responsibility to keep themselves safe. Because when a crime is happening, it's likely that the police are not going to be present. So you've got to have some plan in your mind. How am I going to deal with this if something like this should happen? That's the responsibility aspect of this venture that I've been involved in.
So since RTBAV is an NRA product, does it involve guns?
No, actually, this program is probably the only one that does not involve firearms, nor is there hands-on defense. What we do is we help you to develop your main weapon, which is your brain, all right? That's your main weapon.
How to think your way out of it.
How to actually, even before that way, is to recognize crime in its earliest stages and get the heck out of Dodge while it gets good.
Right.
Everything else that you might think about guns because it's the NRA, but stun guns, pepper sprays, tactical flashlights, tactical pens, even empty hand defense. Those are all tools. By themselves, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to cause harm. They're not going to cause any good if you just lay them on a table and don't do anything with it. What makes them dangerous or makes them helpful is what you have prepared in your mind to do with those defensive tools. And likewise, what the danger, if a person comes to attack you, a criminal, the most dangerous part about him is what he or she has planned in their mind to do with you.
And what they have in their hand. I mean, my dad, like I was saying earlier, he would say, oh, we got 2 fingers, you know, to here, you got a knee.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's what they have planned, what they plan to do with those 2 fingers, what they plan to do with that knee, what they plan to do with that elbow, what they plan to do with any of those defensive tools.
Oh, I mean, as me defending back is what they're going to do to me. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what you have to have a concern about. But with preparation beats panic. If you think about these things ahead of time, that will help you to avoid the panic of the confrontation. Many people make the mistake, they say, well, Mike, this is all common sense, isn't it? And about common sense, the only thing common about common sense is that it's uncommon.
Yes.
Right? And this common sense depends, how much common sense you have with regard to self-protection depends on what you've been taught and what your skills are as far as your defense.
Right.
Many people say, oh, that's common sense. I'll rise to the occasion if I should have to protect myself or protect my family. That's not exactly true. What you'll do is you'll default to your previous level of training. And if you didn't train under circumstances of stress where the adrenal gland is pumping out adrenaline, noradrenaline, and your heart, your pulse is racing, your blood pressure is rising. If you haven't practiced under those kind of circumstances, you'll only be half as effective as you could be with your regular training, if you've had regular training.
Oh, so you teach the training. So you're saying something happens really quick, you're liable to just freeze up.
Well, that's
not expected.
Exactly. That's our basic response. You've heard of flight or fright.
Yes. Like flight. Yeah.
Flight or a fight. There's also freeze. That's another. The defense that some people do. Very, some of the on the lower end of the evolutionary scale, what they'll do is they see that there's a threat there. The predator is seen by the prey, and they'll just freeze in place because the prey will not see them if they don't move. You might have seen Jurassic Park where they said with
don't move.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, don't move. If you don't move, he won't see you, all right? So they froze in place. Well, that works, and that's what we go back to sometimes automatically. But for our human being situation, if a criminal confronts you, to just stay in place and follow their script, it's likely that the odds, the people who study this topic say that the likelihood of you're doing well if you follow their script is not as good as if you do your own defense, if you defend yourself and go off script from what they're telling you to do. That will vary though, depending on who the criminal is. Is this somebody you know? Is this somebody you can talk out of? You can talk them down, perhaps. Maybe that can happen. That's up to you. That's your decision. And that's something you should think about ahead of time if you should be in that kind of a situation. We're not saying you must use these things, but we're saying these are ideas that have worked for other people. And they might work for you too. But you have to be prepared to use them.
Oh, and so you teach the preparedness. So is the crime rate that bad that we have to have a special course to teach?
Well, the crime rate, I mean, you can get the statistics on the crime rate as far as different things. It's 2 years behind. Today, in 2018, you can get the crime statistics from 2016. They're still compiling the statistics from 2017. And you'll see that in general, it seems like that homicides have decreased over the course of the last 8 to 10 years. But conversely, it seems that a lot of the robberies and burglaries and exhibitions of force, violence against victims, that seems to have increased in that same time period. So although one has gotten better, the other one seems to have increased. And just by drawing conclusions about what the crime rate is, by listening on the radio or reading it in the newspaper or on computer now, or watching it on television, that's not going to give you an accurate representation of what's going on out there. What gets published on the radio, computer, newspaper, or TV, that depends on what the producers want to put on, what they think will draw the crowd to their show. And it may not be exactly accurate to what's really important on what's going on outside.
Yeah, there's a lot of crime shows out there. What areas of personal safety do you address? criminal, psychological?
Yeah, the areas, well, you know, the course is pretty almost all-encompassing. We talk about the criminal psyche. A lot of times you'll read about a crime, you say, oh my goodness, how on earth can anybody in their right mind do something like that, commit that kind of a crime?
Yes.
And that's just it. They're not in the right stage of mind. We're law-abiding citizens. We're decent. We're civil to other people. We respect their rights if they respect our rights and so forth. But the criminal has a different mindset. Once you get that in your mind and understand that, when you're confronted by that kind of a personality, you better know how to deal with. You know better how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And it means that sometimes you have to be rude. Sometimes you may have to be assertive. Sometimes you may even have to hurt that person in order to get them to change their mind about hurting you.
Yeah, I've wondered, I had pepper spray, but I never took it out of the package. I've seen some, you know, we see it, as you say, on TV what it does, and then you're like, oh, but I don't want to hurt them. You know, or what if I didn't understand? Maybe it wasn't going to hurt me or something, you know.
There are things, we talk about the pepper spray in our course. These are non-deadly alternatives to defending yourself. Pepper spray, tactical flashlight, tactical pen, baton. These are all things that you can use. And we do a primer, actually, a little bit of a course on how to use the pepper spray properly. Just holding it in your hand and spraying it, that's not the way to do it. There's a right and a wrong way of defending yourself with that. And we go through that in our course.
So I see you have some, you brought some here.
I've got some things, yeah.
Can you hold them up and
sure.
just kind of say
Sure,
what they
I've got, well, the pepper spray, for example. We've got pepper spray. This is a medium-sized container of pepper spray. You may have seen the usual smaller size of pepper spray like this that you carry. You can carry on your lapel. You can carry it on the edge of your purse. It's got either a key ring or a chain there. It varies with how far it sprays, depending on the size.
Yeah, that's the other.
Yeah, and it also depends. You have to be very careful because if the wind is blowing against you, it can come back against you. The other thing is,
I know you used the bug spray. I was trying to use the bug spray, and it was set the wrong way, and I got it in my eyes. Yeah. I don't want that.
Well, the other thing is you can't use this in an elevator also because of the closed area of an elevator. It's likely to affect you also.
Oh, I didn't think.
As well as sometimes if you don't use it properly, the criminal may try to get a hold of you. Let me show you how to avoid that. And may wipe the pepper spray. There's pepper spray comes as a stream, it comes as a mist, and it comes as a foam. And they sometimes take the foam and wipe it off their face, and they'll try to rub it on your face. So you have to take precautions, and so they can't catch you in that kind of a situation.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So those are pepper sprays. And we also advise people to get an inert training unit so you can practice how far it goes, practice the aim, so you know what to expect. So this doesn't have a pepper spray in it, but it gives you an idea how far it's going to shoot and what the stream is going to look like, and you practice your aim. Another thing I mentioned was the tactical flashlight. Now, tactical flashlights our flashlight. They're called tactical because they're 60 lumens of light or stronger, which will blind a person. And what you'll do is you can take it and you shine it in a person's eyes. You can see that.
Wow, it goes pretty far. It
goes very far, and you can also, and you see that this tactical flashlight also has a toothed edge, and it's also beveled.
Yeah, why?
Well, that's because if it comes down to it, you're just shining it on somebody, and they can't see you now because they're blinded, but they're going to go after you. And the last place you saw it, that they saw you, and you're still there, still standing there, they'll grab you. Now you can go and this is made out of heavy-duty steel. You can hit them with this. Take a feel of that. You can feel that.
Oh, yeah.
And the beveled edge, you can go and scrape them across their face, and now you've got a DNA specimen for future use.
Good idea. This one's heavy.
Yes, it's heavy. They're all heavy. They're both heavy.
Oh, let me try.
And
yeah.
And they can. You see that sometimes it goes on, and you can. Sometimes it goes. You can.
Oh, it's pretty sharp too.
You might be able to appreciate how bright it is in the camera there.
Oh, yeah.
But you see, this is the concentrated, that's the concentrated, and this is the wide. You can't see the wide because of the studio lights.
Right.
But it lights up the whole, and the thing it does is when it lights it up like that, this will prevent a person from surprising you. A lot of times criminals use surprise as one of their main tools to get you to think that I have no options left. I have to follow their script because I have no other choice but to follow their script. No. You don't have that. You just go and if you practice it ahead of time, know what to do. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, if they tell you to lay down or whatever.
Yeah, they'll try to get you into a remote place to commit a further crime against you, steal your belongings, maybe even hurt or kill you.
Yes.
All right, that's what they want to do. But if you know ahead of time what your options are, that doesn't have to happen. Most criminals, they want to be successful. When you think about it, one of the things about a criminal psyche is that they're very good at committing crimes. They're very successful. They have a talent, whether that was inborn or whether that was taught to them, doesn't make any difference. They can commit a crime successfully, and that makes them feel good. Makes the victim feel bad, but they don't care. It makes them feel good, and that's what they want to accomplish, a successful crime. And if a person is giving them a hard time, they realize this person is not going to be an easy target. He or she is not going to be an easy victim. They're going to be an opponent. I don't want to fight an opponent and possibly lose, because if I lose, I may get pulled in by the police. This may be my second or third offense, and that's going to be some heavy prison time possibly.
Well, you wish
so,
that
they may be punished severely because of that repeated offense. So they're going to likely 95 to 98% will say, I'm just going to find another target. It's the 2% you have to worry about. This may be people who are on drugs ordinarily, and they're not taking their drugs, and they're hearing all kinds of voices telling them to do weird things. Those are the ones you have to worry about. Or
the more you hurt them, they're going to hurt you back.
Well,
I think that's my fear.
Even the criminals who are like to use violence, they will hurt you also. And you have to realize that. And we talk about the people, what it is for a person to use violence and how to defend yourself against violence. But before I leave that topic, I just want to say the other person to be careful about is the person who needs a drug fix. They may not be looking for the ideal circumstance to commit a successful crime. They may be going and taking chances with people who are going to cause a problem because they need that money to get their fix. And that's the personality you have to worry about as far as a criminal.
Yeah.
As far as violence, we teach people in our course that if you're confronted by a criminal, you have a chance of being a victim of violence 1/3 of the time. That's 30 to 35% of the time. You can be a victim of violence. That can be emotional violence, where you have an emotional scar, psychological scar, that you may carry with you through life. You say, what? How did that happen? Did I do the right thing? I just can't. You carry that with you. Or physically, or both. You can carry those scars with you. And when you break down a crime, there's a fellow by the name of Mac McYoung, and he has a far more experience in dealing with physical altercations than I have. Thank goodness. I hope that it stays that way. But what he says is he broke down the violence into 5 steps. The first step is the criminal gets the intent. He looks at a crowd and sees where is the weakest person in the crowd, and he may see you. And he said, now, then next step is see how that person, you, interact with the other people in the crowd. How you respond to them, how they respond to you. All right, and they may even start to ask you questions and get involved, talking about the weather, and small things and so forth, and start getting close to you. That's the third step, getting close to you physically and emotionally.
Yes.
They want you to feel like they're not going to be a threat to you, so there are no red flags going up in the victim's mind to say, I better watch out for this woman or this man because I think I'm being set up for a crime. They don't realize that the person is talking to you as the crowd is moving on, and all of a sudden you realize you're there alone with the person and there's no one around.
Yes.
You should stay with the crowd because there's safety in numbers.
Right.
So you stay with the crowd. So those are the first 3 steps. And if you recognize that something's amiss, something's not quite right, you don't want to be in this kind of a situation, that's where you be assertive, that's where you can be rude, and that's where you can just raise your voice. Say, hey, someone call the police, this person's harassing me, they're bothering me, I don't want this person to bother me. And then they realize you're going to be an opponent. Now, the last 2 steps are, the 4th step is the punchline. Give me your purse or I'm going to cut you. Give me your wallet or I'm going to shoot you.
You got 5 minutes.
So,
Yeah, we have 5 minutes. You've
Okay.
given a lot of information.
Yeah, okay.
Can you show what are these?
Oh yeah, well this book is The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker. I recommend to anybody. He talks to people who were involved in violent crimes, and he, if they survived. If they didn't survive, he looks at the circumstances surrounding it, and he sees that fear. When you feel fear, that's your sixth sense.
Okay.
Listen to it there. Listen to it. It's there to protect you. Follow it. It's also from there that he has pre-incident indicators. These are distraction techniques, which we talk about, that criminals use quite routinely, actually, to try to distract you and get close to you so they can commit the crime. And we go through some of those and ideas on how to avoid those distractions, recognize them, and avoidance. There's nothing wrong with avoidance. We say, don't let your brain be embarrassed by your ego. A lot of times people will say, I'm not going to let this happen to me. And no, you know, sometimes you may lose the battle, but you're going to win the war. That's what you're looking for, to win the war. Get home safe. No psychological scars, no physical scars. You may have to lose some money, okay? But then again, it's not my life. It's not worth my life. Take my money. Take my wallet if you have to do this. Then you get away. But again, you were talking about the violent person.
Yes.
If he's going to use violence and you're talking to them and it looks like it's going in one ear and out the other, they're looking at you and they're looking through you.
Right.
You can't talk them out of it. You better get out of there quick if you can, and if you can't get out of there quick, you have to prepare yourself to deal with it. And some people won't like this. You have to deal with violence, by violence. Okay, that's because that's the only thing that's going to change their mind.
Anything you can grab around you?
Well, there are different things you can do, but the things that you need to change their mind, you have to either break a bone, you have to dislocate a joint, or knock them unconscious. That's oftentimes what's necessary. We're not talking about a bar fight.
No.
Okay, we're not talking about an alpha male. That's antisocial behavior. We're talking about asocial behavior, where they have one thing in their mind: I want to hurt this person badly, or worse. And the only thing that's going to change their mind automatically is if you do one of those three things: break a bone, dislocate a joint, knock them out, or if it comes to it, have them meet their maker. Okay, it's tough news. You have to think about that because we're civilized people, but it sometimes is necessary. But again, you follow these kinds of things, these recommendations, chances are that you're not going to get into that situation.
How can someone find out more information? Like you said, the classes.
Yeah, I've got classes. At the end of the program, there'll be my telephone number. They can reach me. Refuse to be a victim. I'm also on the NRA site. If you put in the zip code number and mileage, I do 3 classes in the fall, 3 classes in the springtime. My fall classes will be starting next week. They can call my number if they're interested in participating. In addition to those classes, I'll do classes for groups that want to have classes done. And sometimes what they can do is come to the class, learn the stuff, share it with your friends. Okay? And if you can't share it because you don't have the background, invite me to come to your group. I'll be glad. The cost is not much. It's only $30 usual tuition, less if you're a senior, and there are other there are discounts too.
I'd be very interested in that. And I know a couple of groups
it's a great course.
Or I could
it's a great course.
Train them.
It's a great course.
I'm not sure that I've gone through all these questions. I think we have like 3 minutes left.
Okay, well, I can tell you one of the things here, we
that
also
would be great.
a personal alarm. This is something women can carry with them. It's got a flashlight on one side. They can go and see the key to go into your car, but it's also got an alarm on the other. Okay, because the things that people criminals don't like lights, they don't like alarms. So if you have your house being broken into, you put on your alarm. Do you have an alarm? You should have an alarm. How about the alarm on your key fob to your car?
All I have is a light. Oh, that's
the key fob to your car. Push that button, and that alarm's going to be going off. And even if your car's in a garage, at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's likely to raise somebody. Some neighborhood dog is going to start to bark. And if you hear that going on and you turn the outside lights on, you're likely to scare away a person who's trying to break into your house. These are the things we talk about.
Too many times it goes off.
And many of our students who come to these courses have been through these things, so they can share their experiences, what they did, what worked, what didn't work. They can share it with us, and that's the benefit of coming to the group program.
Well, we have to wrap it up, so thank you again. again
Okay,
for
you're welcome,
coming.
Christine.
And thank you for bringing all these. Maybe you can tell them how someone can defend themselves before going to your class or during or after. Where would they find these? Any, like Walmart?
Yeah, if you go online,
find
sometimes
guns there.
if you go online, you could have. I have got some things like this alarm is Nano Banshee. It's nanobanshee.com. But again, all this stuff will be available at the course. You can see them. I bring it for the show
And you got
and tell.
pamphlets too. Refuse to be a victim. Dr. Taz, it's been great informational, and tune in next time. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.